Hey, this is Snowblitz.
Syx String.
Starlight Ironhoof.
Horse Train.
And Zeta Prime.
And this is Elements of Harmony. Tonight on the show, we interview one who is strong with the horse. Pony-One Kenobi is a part-time Jedi Master and a well-known small horse celebrity who has performed at many of the major conventions in the fandom, as well as the Musiquestria Tour in 2013. Founder of the Beatles Bronies, Pony-One Kenobi is a multi-instrumentalist and a talented musician, and he joins us here tonight.
Hello, Pony-One Kenobi.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Elements of Harmony. How are you doing tonight?
That was a fantastic intro. I love that.
Yes, it was amazing. Forrest, strong with the horse, really? Are you infinite now?
Yes. Who was that?
That was Infinite's idea, and that was that was my idea as well.
That was Snowblitz that came up with that line.
But then,
yes.
I thought you drew it from the old Reliant K song, May the Horse Be With You.
No. But you can tell us about that.
Yeah. Oh, come on, you're the other Reliant K fan here.
I know. But I only listened to the one album.
What?
I only listened to and I never downloaded anything else from Reliant K. I know, shut up! Leave me alone. Anyway, P1K and I have a little bit of history. He was one of my first friends coming into this fandom, actually, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you two meet?
All the way back to the Massive Smile Project.
Is that how we met?
Oh.
Yep.
Whoa. I met everybody I love through the Massive Smile Project.
I even met you through that.
Yeah, well, except for almost everybody here. Yeah, so we met back in the Massive Smile Project. That's neat, actually.
Yep.
How'd you hear about that? Tell us about that.
Oh, that was ages ago. All right. Well, we were still really hot on the heels of the Beetle Bronies. We were still really making a lot of tracks, really being active. We were one of the most active musicians in the early time, but even though some of our tracks were shit, a lot of our tracks were shit. But we learned a lot.
Authentic.
Yeah, they were authentic. We learned a lot. We learned how to record. We learned how to really I learned how to mix and master. I eventually just moved up from Audacity to FL Studio, then to Cubase most recently. I learned a whole lot about how to make music, starting with the Beetle Bronies, and overpowered my inability to play guitar by recruiting other people to play guitar. So in the Massive Smile Project, you approached us and wanted to have one or two of us contribute vocal parts, and one of our members, Osoth, did that, and he was really happy to do that.
Yeah, he was a soloist.
He was one of the soloists. I provided the bass for the Smile song.
Yes, you did.
I still remember the bass line. I love playing it. It's fun. Yeah. So that's how we first met Forrest. Then came BronyCon 2012, Summer BronyCon.
Yes.
Where Forrest's reign was cut due to time, a few weeks before the con, and we all felt really bad, so me and QD Brony gave him the last song in our set, and we played, actually, a song that was written by Osoth, Memory Lane, and that's one of Forrest's early hits.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember those old days.
That was incredibly fun.
Those old days were great, because, you used to, you, everybody, would, we watched the show, we'd be inspired, we'd write a song would happen. Songs just happened back then.
Songs just happened. We did a cover of BBBFF in 18 hours.
No, it was
It was 8 hours.
It was 8 hours. The majority of it happened within, a 6-hour span.
Uh-huh.
I think it was 8 hours from, hey, we should do a cover of this, to, oh, hey, we just released a cover of this. Yeah. That was neat.
From concept to YouTube, 8 hours.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It happened in one night. I think it was exactly just one night.
Let's make it speed punk.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love that one. It was great, especially at the end, where it just kind of got all sad and depressing.
Oh yeah, I remember
Dude, you should do a piano solo.
Yeah, we discussed that. You're like, hey, you should do that, like, the reprise at the end. I'm like, you sure? You don't think it's going to be too sad or, like, completely, like, out of the concept of the whole thing? And you're like, no, just do it.
No. It was completely awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Horribly mixed, but it worked.
Yeah. Well, that was the old days.
Back when all the live music was horribly mixed.
Yeah, and recorded music. But this is just like so much nostalgia for me now in like the first 5 minutes of this episode.
Oh yeah.
Because like I remember like first meeting you and you showed me the Beatles Brony stuff and I'm like it's authentic. It's good. Your mixing really sucks, but
I can work on
Oh.
and then we
I did what I could with Audacity.
Yeah, and we did, and like I remember like we'd discuss things, and like I'd show you mixing techniques. I'd be like, hey, like this is this, and blah blah blah, and like we'd work on stuff. And yeah, no, it's good times. I miss those days sometimes. The early days of the fandom, I guess.
Early days.
Yeah.
There once was a time.
Yeah.
And that BronyCon was when I remember when Great to Be Different was brooding inside Forrest's mind. I remember seeing that. I came back to the hotel room and he was just sitting there on the bed, like contemplating shit. And he was like, I got this letter, and it's like I was like crying earlier. It's like really spoken to me. I'm like, I need to write a song.
And then I did.
Wow, is that what happened?
Well,
That's seriously what happened.
there was a conversation at the hotel. I remember too. I believe that same convention. And that same hotel room.
Tried to write a song.
Yeah, we're like, we need to write a song about the convention or something. And I can't remember what we were going to write. It was something about...
I remember what it is. Hang on, let me go grab a ukulele.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Okay.
Do you still have the lyrics that we wrote, too?
I think.
It's like, oh, yeah, it's just in my pile of convention lyrics here, right beside me.
Wow.
Just in my lyrics of Forgotten Dreams.
Oh.
The forgotten
sorry.
lyric pile.
I have a binder of just stuff I put together. There's a lot of stuff I haven't released yet and just never gotten around to doing. But
Sounds like the notes in my iPhone.
yeah, okay, I can't remember what we did for the verse, but the chorus went like, BronyCon, oh Brony.
Oh my God, yes!
Who knew you'd be so much fun? Why is this line so fucking long? I just want to see Tara strong.
Yes!
Oh man.
I remember!
Oh
my God, I feel like I
God.
just took a trip to Neverland and I found my happy thought.
Aw.
That's amazing.
This whole
That was really catchy.
Oh my God, we need to finish that song.
Many friends from many nations meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you please finish that?
We'll work on it this BronyCon.
we'll-
Not
Audio
saying
cover.
I will feature it on anything, but maybe,
This
who knows?
BronyCon, we will
Who
get
knows?
together and we will work on that, or maybe we'll. I don't know.
I feel like you should do that on the
Many
concert.
nations.
If it's finished
on
by
the
the
con-
con,
yeah.
then we'll all sing it
Yeah,
together.
you should do it in Bronypalooza. Just
Just do it. Just do it.
People
do
will-
it, man.
Brony
seriously,
Palooza
people
is
will
usually
love it.
pretty tight. I
Yeah.
usually have a lot of things I want to
I
play,
know, right?
want to make sure I get to. I know you always have. It's always so much time. And there's always not enough.
Yeah, yeah. It's like 30 minutes. It's like, oh, I could do so much with 30 minutes. No, you can't.
You really
No, yeah, I've got to have a set that flows into each song, and I want to hit my high notes, and I want to hit my new stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
I want to hit this joke by playing this song like this, or
okay, so we just spent like 10 minutes reminiscing and talking about stuff, but like I guess we have to go into the default question that I ask at the beginning of every interview, which is for the people that are completely blind and deaf to the fandom and like never tuned in to a convention ever or never attended one and have never met you or don't know who you are. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where you come from.
All right, well, hello everybody. I am Pony1 Kenobi, or otherwise known as P1K. I do alternative rock, alternative punk rock, style similar to Reliant K, Blink-182, All American Rejects. I try and get a lot of inspiration from different alternative artists, All Time Low, Sum 41, all sorts of things. I started in the fandom actually by playing Beatles parodies with my band, the Bronies, but ever since February of 2012, I've been writing my own stuff, producing it, and I've actually got a lot farther than the Bronies did, and just made a career for myself, I guess. One of the first things I like to really was interested in doing was getting into the convention scene, being able to play shows. I hadn't been very experienced before in playing live shows, but I learned a whole lot during the first year, and then also through going to the tour in 2013, and that was an amazing experience. If you didn't see me on there, you missed out. It was a fantastic time. So yeah, that is me. I play Pony Punk.
We already mentioned a little bit about your convention experience. What's the first convention you went to?
The first convention I went to was January BronyCon of 2012. The third ever BronyCon, back when they were doing it, like, quarterly.
Yeah.
Oh, the very first one, yeah, the one that was in Manhattan.
That's funny.
The one was in Manhattan. The Hotel Pennsylvania was the smallest thing ever. If the Fire Marshal had showed up, we would have all been kicked out, like, immediately. I met a whole bunch of people there. I met Final Draft there for the first time. Apple Cider Shelf Sandy, but I guess maybe you're not supposed to say that here on Everfree Radio. I met Tarby and Lasfas there for the first time, and ever since then, that sparked an amazing friendship between me and Tarby.
I was gonna say.
I begged him to let me play bass for him at BronyCon and that summer, and ever since, we've just been amazing friends, and actually, we're cousins.
What?
Wow.
Are you really?
What?
Like, legitimate?
We are almost sure that we are related somehow.
That's neat.
Really?
Whoa.
How'd you figure that
That's
out?
amazing.
Well, we were on tour. We were out at the beach in Houston Beach. And then, so, like, I was talking with my parents. I just gotten off the phone. Like, what you doing? Oh, I was just calling my parents. They're about to head up to Rhode Island for a family reunion. Like, oh, yeah, my family usually has a reunion up there the same time of the year. When is it? Like, this weekend. Like, my family has a family reunion in Rhode Island this weekend. Where? At this park. Mine's at that park. And we're like, we did a little bit of research, and we think, we haven't found anything conclusive yet, but we're pretty sure that there's some sort of relation between us.
So it's like a relationship like how Applejack and Pinkie Pie are related to each other
Exactly. It's an amazing episode.
Still, that's really awesome.
Amazingly relatable.
It's a small world.
Wow.
almost. Interesting, yeah, it really
Isn't it, though?
I want to ask you about Music Equestria. How was that, and how did it go the entire time?
It was an experience. Early on, we encountered a few difficulties. Basically, we didn't have the vehicles we wanted, so we had to take 2 vehicles, and that just stressed a lot of things. And you do not want to spend a month in the back of a Chevy Traverse with 6 other people.
Isn't that how you learned how to swear?
Pretty much. The Fetting's the one you want to watch out for.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How were they?
We all grew very close.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that from, like, just sort of starting at the beginning of the story when everybody sort of came together for the first time. Like, how did that go from...
We came together for the first time a day before Everfree Northwest. We had rented a space just to rehearse, and it was me, Tarby, Automatic Jack, Replacer, and Don as the band. We were rehearsed for the first time, and just for a few of the songs, we just completely meshed, and it just worked. And it was like, yes, this is magical. This is gonna work. Other songs was like, that was shit. We need to start over again. The first half of the tour, just hitting each city like every other day sometimes, and then a stretch where we went from Phoenix, Arizona, one day. The next day, we played in Albuquerque, and then the next day, we played in Houston. Now, the gap between Albuquerque and Houston is a 22-hour drive with a time zone loss.
Wow.
So we got off the stage in Albuquerque, took everything down, packed up, left, got to Houston, and put on a show.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Man, that is crazy.
And how'd the Houston show go?
It was okay.
Now, I just wanted to ask about your naming off all these cities. Were there any cities that were your favorite to perform at, and did any catch you by surprise?
Portland was the first stop on the tour other than Everfree Northwest, and that was our biggest crowd. We had so many people there. It was in like the upstairs of a restaurant. It was actually one of the smallest venues, but it was incredibly fun. We got to play like a smaller-ish set, just a lighter set. We didn't have everything going full blast, but it really worked, and everyone really enjoyed it.
From what I hear, the music scene and like just the artist scene in Portland is really, really supportive.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know because I was there for 2 days, but yeah, sure.
But carrying on, your second favorite city?
Second favorite city is between LA and Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
LA was this dive of a venue. It was the only indication that it was a venue was a stenciled name of it on the door of this ruddy looking shack. It was like
It's Fluttershy's shit.
But the thing was, it was a secret venue. It was like a lot of like big people had done secret shows in this tiny ass room. And then we were playing there, and I got to play. I played Beverly Hills, of course, just as a homage to where we were, and that was incredibly fun. I really enjoyed playing at that venue. And Nashville was Nashville's like a city of music. It was fantastic. I played a Reliant K cover like 15 miles from where it was recorded, so I was like, this is so cool.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually at the Nashville show, and you guys did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was a really fun venue. It really felt full. It was a good size crowd, good size venue. It all worked out.
And I remembered a lot of the people being surprised how crowded it was because that one hadn't been announced in the original tour, and it wasn't even on the website. It was just announced like 24 hours ahead of time or something like that.
Oh yeah, that was a mid-tour edition.
Talk about hardcore fans.
But the thing about the second half of the tour, though, is that after that show in Houston, we had like nothing. We had Nashville and Tallahassee. That was it. So there were long gaps of us doing nothing and wasting all of our money. So we ran out of money pretty quick. We didn't have enough gas money to actually get up to our Chicago show. We had to cancel that booking.
Oh, brutal.
Man,
Wow.
that stinks.
Yep.
So, were these some of your first times you'd ever performed at a live venue other than a convention, or had you performed at other live venues?
I guess, yeah, it would be the first time I actually played at venues. I played at stuff like church events or whatever, the conventions, of course. But I had never actually played at a venue itself, and that was really a unique experience.
How many people do you think were there that weren't bronies?
Not many. There weren't many people that were there that were bronies. We had an average of like 20 people a show. It was kind of poor. Portland was our biggest with 50, and then
it was all downhill from there.
It was pretty much downhill from there. That's one of the reasons why we also kept running out of money.
Was there a worst venue, like the worst performance in there?
Worst No, I can't say there was.
Huh.
Well, hey, you know what? If you guys come back to Nashville, we'll see about breaking 50.
You just have to announce it with more than 24 hours.
Nashville was one of the good ones. I think we had like 35 people, 35, 40. It was a good number there.
Wow.
Pretty much everywhere else, though, was like 20.
All right, well, anyways, we're going to take a quick song break here, and the song we're about to play is... Oh, this is in relation to a certain mother pony with some of them bed eyes that are very, well... Anyways, this is P1K with Button's Mom. You are listening to Elements of Harmony on Everfree Network.
Can I come over after school? After
baby, give me the slip. Give me the slip. No, I'm not the little colt that I used to be. I'm all grown up, I'm a stallion, can't you see? Button's mom has got it going on. She's all that I want, and I've waited for so long. Button, can't you see? You're just not the call for me. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom. Button's mom has got it going on. Button's mom has got it going on. Button, do you remember when we gamed all night? Gamed all night. Your mom came in just to turn out the light. Turn out the light. I could tell she liked me from the way she stared. The way she stared. And the way she said, Mr. Mob over there.
Wait, what?
And I know that you think it's just a fantasy, but since you're down at home, your mom could use a guy like me. Button's mom has got it going on. She's all that I want, and I've waited for so long. Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom. Button's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom. Yeah, I'm in love with Button's mom. Wait a minute, Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom. I just love the vocal harmonies on that. I'm
Oh,
so
the vocals
glad.
are amazing.
Right, it is.
They
That
really
just
are.
came out
They're just
so spectacular.
Yeah, like it was really well produced, and I remember you getting that up very quickly after Button's Adventure had aired. Can you tell us a little bit about that song and the inspiration?
Well, it all started with a Tumblr post. That's how it always starts, doesn't it?
Yeah, of
boy.
course.
Someone had made
Of
it.
course
Isn't it
does.
always?
It was an audio post. Someone had, of course, the original Stacy's mom, and then like a speech generator saying "button" just over Stacy every time it had come up. And me and Hard Copy saw this post and like, dude, this has to happen. So Hard Copy started up the lyrics, and then I started the backtrack. And then we just tried to pump it out. I just wanted to make it as good as it possibly could be. I didn't want to use a backtrack. Like, I didn't want to use just like a made
Instrumental or whatever. Yeah.
instrumental like other people were trying to do, and then eventually Cypony did with his most popular one. But so yeah, that happened. Like Cypony put out his version right in the middle of me producing my version, and I was almost tempted to not do it, but I'm like, you know what? I could make this sound incredibly awesome. I know I can make this the best it can be. And so I kept going at it. I kept making the track. I kept getting better and better at mixing. I sent it to so many people trying to get a really, really nice sound out of it. I put a lot of effort into the vocals. There are 8 vocal tracks on there.
Did you like triple do all the vocals?
Wow.
I double did all the vocals, but there's 3 vocal parts on the chorus.
If memory serves me right, it seems like that had published within a week of Button's Adventure, so you must have been really frantic getting that out to people.
It was 2 weeks.
Okay,
At
2
least.
weeks.
I had the track mostly finished like a week and a half. I was waiting on art, but I used that time to nitpick and really get that mix sounding as incredible as it does.
Yeah, it really is one of your best produced tracks.
Yeah, so there's 8 vocal tracks. I have them all like compressed and tuned together. I posted just a teaser of it, of just the vocals of the second chorus, just with all the harmonies and just everything sounding so awesome. I'm like, I'm so happy at this. This is going to be fantastic.
Is there anything you felt that you really took away from this? Like anything specific that you felt that you learned a lot about?
I learned a lot about compressing vocals and how I can get everything to sound even throughout the track. And I learned that I can't rely on compressors to make the audio track sound good. Sometimes you do have to go into automation. I hate automation. I hate having to change the volume for a track. I like being able to set it and then use a compressor to get everything to fit evenly. But I just learned that sometimes you just have to sacrifice that. You have to put in some automation to really get a really nice sound out of it.
Yeah, and I was just gonna do a follow-up question. Was there anything you felt that you realized that you were a little bit weak in?
The harmonies aren't right. I made them up based on the chords and based on what I heard. There's a few harmony parts missing, and I added a few, actually.
The thing with P1K is a master at vocal harmonies. Like, if P1K does anything better than anybody else in the fandom, it's vocal harmonies. And actually, just as an example of that, I did pull up the vocal demo that he put out for Button's Mom, so we're going to listen to that real quick. It's only 16 seconds, so.
Yay!
Button's mom has got it going on. She's all that I want, and I waited for so long. Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom.
Yeah, that sounds very.
I love it. It's
another thing I remember. Something I learned from musical theater. It's all about come-ons and come-offs. You gotta punch it. You gotta come in at exactly the same time, and you gotta come off in the exact same way. You have to sing the track exactly how the lead does it. If you play it one more time, you'll hear how everything sounds unison and how every part comes on and pops off at the exact same time. I went to a lot of effort to make sure that sounded right. Play it one more time. Yeah.
Button's mom has got it going on. She's all that I want, and I waited for so long. Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom.
That lead track is actually 2 tracks. It's a double track, and you can barely tell because they sung so precisely on.
For sure.
That's
It's
interesting.
all about just, like I said, musical theater. Like, open your mouth, enunciate everything, and then your come-ons and come-offs.
I have a feeling we're going to have a very interesting tech talk about vocal harmonies.
Aha!
Oh yeah, definitely.
I actually want to talk more in depth on that because they told us the same thing in marching band and concert band about the attacks and the coming off. And there's a lot in terms of the way the waves interact where that helps amplify them.
Yeah, anything like that, like a marching band, like a choir, like an ensemble, you have to be together. And when you are, it sounds fantastic.
And you said there were 8 people of the vocal in the chorus, right?
There were 8 vocal
tracks,
3 harmony tracks, and a lead track. There's only 8 tracks in a couple spaces, actually, and mostly towards the end of the song when I'm singing an extra part for the lead vocals, where I have a 3-part harmony singing the chorus, and then I have my vocal harmony over it as the lead. And then another song I really did that well was my cover of Babseed.
Mm-hmm.
That one had 7 tracks.
It's funny when you mention this because I do the same thing where I use a ton of vocal tracks in some things, except most of the time my stuff doesn't come through as well as yours does. But I remember when the Rock Band thing was a big thing, that I had sent off several tracks, and the first time that I did it, I was trying to think of how to bounce all the tracks or do stems for it, because you can only fit I think 3 vocal tracks into Rock Band.
It's a single vocal track, but there's only 3 harmony parts you can sing.
Right, so a lead and then 3 harmony parts, right?
No, two lead and 2
harmony parts. Right, okay. And I just remember thinking, I even said to the guy one time, I'm like, well, there's 5 vocal tracks kind of going right now, in the chorus here. So, how do you want me to do those? He's like, just pick some. I'm like, okay.
You pick the most interesting ones. Just for one of the guys that did Button's Mom, he just picked a couple. I'm like, and at the end it was like, dude, could we switch this vocal track here? Can you use this harmony here? It's more interesting, more fun to sing, and it's more apparent in the mix. So the one he had initially, and the one that's actually in the video is actually the Barry harmony. It's very, very stagnant. I don't know. Yeah, I just love vocal harmonies. I grew up listening to the Beatles, and they're famous for their harmonies and different amazing tracks. I also
Oh, the Beatles were fantastic. They're the reason like they broke up like so many like different types of rock genres. Like they're like they're like one of the pioneers.
Grew up
So,
listening
yeah.
to the Beatles.
We've seen the Sky with Diamonds.
Reliant K and like other alternative rock like is characterized almost by the third harmony. Like it's always there, and it's a incredibly present. And from listening to it so often and singing along to it and singing that harmonies, I developed like that natural tendency. Like, okay, I know where the third is, and I can just sing along to almost any song in a third harmony.
During BronyCon 2012 in the summer, it was in Secaucus, New Jersey. You did a pre-BronyCon show.
Yeah.
And I saw it up on YouTube. So, how was that? Because from a viewer's point of view, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching all the musicians kind of chilling out and doing their thing live.
Don't watch it. Skip over the part with Forest Rain. It was terrible. Except for the one song. The one song we practiced turned out really well, and that's yeah. POK, tell us about it.
That was an experience. That was fun. Like, it was meeting back with a bunch of friends that I'd made. Well, of course, I met a few people at BronyCon January, and this was the next con after that. The next like only other con that summer, except for Everfree Northwest, the first Everfree Northwest. What happened? It just really kind of spawned naturally. Like, I don't know, I brought along a webcam just in case we wanted to stream something. It was like we just sat up like behind one of the hotels.
I was in like a little courtyard.
Yep. It was you, me, and QD, and then Brony Mike, and then later we had Cyril and Tarby stop by. It was just spontaneous, and it really characterized like the beginning of that first convention. Like, all right, we're friends now. We are meeting for the first time, but then we're just going in and just playing music. We are just out of nowhere, just like we never played before together, and we just play, and it's magical.
It was one of the most romantic moments of BronyCon, like a situational romance in a sense, in that like it's just almost like ironically prophetic that we all just kind of meet and start to play music and just put on a concert because we can in a courtyard behind the hotel and stream it out to people.
We started playing Memory Lane, and then just like a crowd of like 20 or so bronies walked by and just crowded around us and started singing along.
That was insane.
So you guys became like the Avengers of Brony musicians. Basically.
I don't know. I think that'd be 2010, but I don't know. If they only released anything.
With this, though, that's a weird bragging point. Kind of a, not weird, but rare one where you've played at the past 3 BronyCons. What's it been like watching a convention just start off really small and grow to what it is today?
Well, the first BronyCon I played at, I jumped on stage behind Jackalap and started playing drums. But,
okay.
It was kind of unprecedented, or just random. It's been a really weird, interesting experience seeing the convention scene grow into what it was last year at BronyCon. Oh my gosh, it was huge. I've seen bands on stages that big, and I've seen famous people on stages that big, and now I'm a person on stage, and there are people out there. I'm playing a song, and I can see in people they're singing along. They know my songs. I'm like, oh my god,
I made it.
You know my songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what it feels like to be famous.
The moment of
I've done it.
self-validation.
Yeah, I was talking about that with somebody recently, because when I saw Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, that crowd was about the same size as Brony Palooza's, so at your level of music, what is it like playing to that kind of audience?
It is just so exciting. The energy is just palpable. I couldn't see the back of the crowd, mostly because of the haze, but it just made it... There was a lot of haze on the stage, let me be honest. But that illusion, like, there's just people, and then I can't see the end of it. And there are a lot of people in there come to see me, and they know my music. I can see them singing it.
And with that being said, were you how nervous when you saw the crowd and knew how many people were
not.
there?
It was fantastic. I haven't had a problem with stage fright since
Ever.
I was gonna sophomore year of high school.
Like, P1K is just one of those people that anytime there's a stage or a camera, he's there. P1K is there. If there's a stage and there's an instrument nearby, he's there. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like they're like if Turquoise Splash was playing out front, P1K would be there with like bongos just playing along because he can.
I'm the guy who's just like gravitationally attracted to pianos. So
Oh, you and me both. There is a piano in my Keystone testing area, which I'm gonna see next week, and it's an upright, or not an upright. It's a full grand piano, just sitting there. And I asked the teacher after the testing was over. I think I spent an extra half hour sitting there, and I played it for a good hour.
It reminds me, in preparation for BronyCon 2013, it's like, you know what would be awesome? If we had a full grand piano, and then like, they're like, we can get you that. Like,
Yeah.
you can?
I remember watching the stream for one convention. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was Everfree, where they had a full.
They had a full grand. No, it was a mini grand. It was a mini grand.
Mini grand?
And it was pinned to one spot, so we had to mic it like over the side of the stage. But one of my most memorable moments, though, from Everfree Northwest, where that piano was I woke up. Of course, I'm an East Coaster, so when I travel to the West Coast, I'm 3 hours ahead. So I wake up at like 7 a.m. Like, oh right, I'm ready to start the day.
Yeah.
So I ended up going really early over to the venue and just up to the main ballroom, and the Creepers had just gotten there.
Oh man.
Andy, Ed, and Jimmy were also up there. They were all up rehearsing. Then the Creepers got there, and they did what would be best described as an acoustic rehearsal with Mr. Creeper on that mini grand.
Oh man.
Ed playing the drums really lightly, and then Mando on my bass and Jimmy on guitar, and that was just magical. Hearing that with just a light version of different songs they didn't even actually end up playing at Everfree Northwest. They played like Alexander's Ragtime Band. They played I can't remember anymore, but it was just magical. It was like hearing this light rehearsal. I'm just sitting here watching Michelle dance around and sing, and then Claire came up and started dancing with Michelle. It was just, that was the most memorable time I've ever had a convention. Just hearing that light rehearsal, hearing that just everyone just meshing together, that musical family and Kustamando Pony. It was just amazing.
I have a quick, somewhat random question. You were in the Beatles Bronies, but personally, how much influence do you feel you have from the Beatles? And if so, who from the Beatles do you feel most influence from?
Quick correction on that. I believe P1K actually founded the Beatles Bronies.
Well, to answer the question, like I said before, I like really inspired by their harmonies, how they really liked using a lot of different vocals. Songs like Nowhere Man, just like they have the constant 3-level harmony. It's just like, oh yeah, just everything just works there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I'd say that I'm most inspired by Paul. In case you weren't aware and haven't seen me live, I play a Hofner, which was most famously played by Paul McCartney. It's a short-scale, hollow-body bass, and it's got a really unique sound to it. It looks like a violin, also known as a violin bass. It's just an incredibly unique bass. It's got a unique sound to it, and I just love playing it. I play it at all my shows, and I've now taken it to Australia and on tour across the country, and I am never ever getting rid of this guitar.
I've actually seen one of them in Guitar Center a long while back, and I couldn't help myself but picking it up and playing it, even though I don't play bass.
Yeah.
It was just so awesome looking.
The thing about it, what you find in a store, though, is that they've got cheap nickel round wounds on it, and they just sound like the thing is made out of tin. I swear. If you play a Hofner with round wounds, it sounds like the guitar is made out of tin. It's just awful. You have to get the right strings for it.
Generally, when you find a good sounding guitar in Guitar Center, you know it's good guitar.
Definitely.
Especially with those strings that they put on there.
One of my most memorable moments with P1K was this one time at Starborn's house, where we were playing Rock Band, and P1K decided to play Rock Band while laying upside down on the floor, looking up at the TV upside down, playing the guitar and singing vocals at the same time, and like you reversed the image on the screen or something like that for it. You put it in lefty mode so they so they can read it properly. Oh yeah, and you wound up doing really well. I think you got like a 99% on the vocals and a 96% on the guitar or something.
Sounds about right.
Wow.
That is impressive. God.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't even play that stinking game upright.
I
And,
can't play it at all
perfectly
except
positioned.
for vocals. I'm boss at vocals, but I can't do anything else. But yeah, no, that's
And did he play it on
Yeah.
professional?
Yeah, I played it on
pro.
expert.
Yeah, expert.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments where it's like, not only is P1K an awesome musician, he's also freaking boss at Rock Band.
In the beginning of my Brony musical career, I had only really played piano and a bit of bass. I had just a really cheap P bass, and that's all I played. And just like, okay, I can play one string at a time. I'm good at that. I had no idea how to play guitar. That's why I recruited other people. We made a bunch of tracks together. But as time went on, I picked up like a ukulele. I picked up things that are easy to finger. You can use finger the chords. Like I learned a lot on ukulele. Learned how to play that. I would play a bunch of different songs just by learning very simple chords. And then by using that, the strum patterns that I'd learned from playing Rock Band and the music theory that I already knew from playing piano, I was able to eventually graduate to guitar. I borrowed one from my cousin, and I ended up just working with that for as long as I possibly could before I put out Caramel's Light, which was my very first song and featured a very, very simple lead line that I put together, and it was very, I don't know what to say, unprofessional or whatever.
Rough?
It was my very first, it was a very simple song. Rough, that's the word I was looking for. It was very rough, but I was learning to play guitar, and now I'm a whole lot better. I've learned a lot of dexterity. It's very cool just how learning new instruments has just come along.
So, real quick, we're going to go into a quick music break. And now introducing Crystal Heart, featuring Turquoise Splash, a song by Pony1 Kenobi. You're listening to Elements of Harmony on Everfree Radio.
I can't tell you when it started in my mind, when my thoughts would drift to you from time to time. But now this feeling's getting worse. It's like I'm trapped under a curse, a carrying hand upon this lonely heart of mine. She seems so close, but she's so far away, and I never feel like I can find the words to say. But I don't want to break this spell, or let these feelings just a spell. But all that I can do is take things day by day. Oh, can't you see? This feeling's killing me. The words I say are never right. I try and try most every night. So now that I can't let this go, but I'm not ready for this love to start. I want the words to be as clear as a crystal heart. If she were here to say that she were mine, I would be there for her till the end of time. But I can't tell her in the end that I want more than just a friend, that I'm just searching for some refuge or a sign. Oh, can't you see? This feeling's killing me. The words I say are never right. I try and try most every night. So now that I can't let this go, but I'm feeling that this love will end the same. Standing alone, my tears mixing with the rain. Can't you see? This feeling's killing me. The words I say, they're never right. I try and try most every night. So know that I can't let this go. But I'm not ready for this love to start. I want the words to be as clear as a crystal heart, a crystal heart. The words I say are never right. I try and try most every night. So know that I can't let this go. But I'm not ready for this love to start. Want the words to be as clear. I can't tell you when it started in my mind, when I wanted to be with her until the end of time.
Yes. I remember when you first showed me that song, and it really touched me when you first put it out, and it's a really, really sweet song, and I'm glad that we were able to feature it tonight, and it's a well-produced sort of, I guess, alternative ballad, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. I took a lot of inspiration from a Hawk Nelson song and some Reliant K stuff. Like, I put the song in E flat standard, which is really actually a popular key for Reliant K.
It's like the Daniel Ingram key.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Really is.
And it has a very similar line to it that's like similar to their song Forget and Not Slow Down. Like, it kind of used some of the same chords and how they slide up. That slide you hear during the chorus, like going up and down, is an adaptation of one of Reliant K's lead rhythm parts for their song Forget and Not Slow Down. And so a lot of music is just being inspired by other things and taking bits and pieces and using them as they fit.
Yeah, the secret to being an artist is hiding your sources.
Basically, yeah.
But one of the things, since we are talking about the elements of vocal harmonies today, one of the things that strikes me about this song is that, and actually about a lot of the songs that you put out, is that there's a very present vocal harmony that carries through the entire song pretty much. So it's almost as if you have two people singing the song the entire way through. But tell us a little bit about that and your process with that.
I tend to actually just like think in like the two vocal way. Like, I always think of my melodies, and I always think like the harmony is right here. It's probably going to be there most of the song, and I tend to actually overuse it. If you listen to most like alternative rock, like, you'll hear like the third harmony a lot, like during the chorus and verses stuff, but it's not always there. I tend to overuse it just a little bit. On this track in particular, actually, I used it quite a lot.
Yep.
I also took a risk in only doing single tracks for both the lead vocal and the harmony vocal. I wanted it to sound a bit more raw, a bit more pure, because of the more acoustic, more just drawn back feel to it. Except for the chorus part, the choral parts in the back. Those are both double tracked, so there's 4 tracks back there. Yeah, I really wanted to add those just because before there's just empty space. They're like, can't you see this feeling's just an empty space
There's
there.
that big silence.
It just wasn't being. I had like a lead guitar line that's still there, like da 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 da, but it's just not present, and I just couldn't get it to sound present enough without it overpowering. But then I thought, what if I added more vocals here and kind of made it like more chorusy. And then as I just sang a part just randomly, just like thought of what it could be, and then as the chorus went on, like, oh, this really works. So I can go like, ah, da. It really just came alive. Just like, okay, I need something here. Oh, it's now grown into something else.
Welcome to one of the secrets of producing music.
Exactly.
If you have space, stick vocals in there.
Yeah.
If you have space, put something in there.
Put some ahs
Whether
and oohs.
Yeah, if you have space anywhere, if you have space laterally, just like there's like empty space in the lyrics and the sound, if there's empty space in the spectrum, throw in an instrument that just fills things out, or just add an extra guitar track or whatever.
Oh, good. Let me take some notes.
It's all about
Yeah.
filling the space. It's about filling the space a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then also by using empty space. I drop into the chorus, I'll lower my vocals so that I'm filling more of a register with my voice. Like, because when the vocals have like a lot of high frequencies to them. When you're singing high, they're emphasized, but when you drop down the vocals, drop down an octave, you're singing deeper, and everything resonates more. Especially with the really light guitar work there from Turquoise. Just like the voice can fill a space, but not if you're singing too high. It all depends. Use the empty space.
Yeah, it's similar to mixing. It doesn't just apply to vocals, it applies to almost everything. In the sense that, if there's space in your track, like you said, laterally, like within time, you can fill it with, like a lead guitar part or vocals or, something just to sort of stick in there, or like a synth pad or some piano. And if there's space in your track, like frequency-wise, you can find instruments to put in there that work in that frequency. If there's not a lot of high frequencies, you can add in some high vocal harmonies, or you can add in some
like
spiel or strings.
Like you said, a pad.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of, being the prog person that I am, I love when people use Mellotron, the vocal harmonies from a Mellotron.
Or one of my favorites, the Rhodes piano.
Yes.
Yes.
I love Rhodes piano, glass piano, metal piano. They in case you're not familiar with the instrument, it's like a piano, except that metal bars are used and are hit with the hammers, and that makes a tone. But it's also incredibly subtle, and you can't hear it if you actually play it. It has to be amped, kind of like like an early organ. So it has somewhat of an organy sound, but like especially like if you hear like cover of Reliant K's College Kids.
Yeah.
I open with the Rhodes there. It's got a really bop, bop, bop. It's got a real punch to it, a bit more punch than an organ would have. Just because it's got that hammer hit, it's got that ding, and then it resonates. Like an organ, I always have trouble with organs because they're always just a bit harsh for me. Like
you need to use like
in this track,
you have to use the B organ more often.
Yeah.
maybe. But like in this track in Crystal Heart, like there's an underlying organ throughout almost the entire track. Just I use it as a bed of sound. Like I said, it fills a nice little frequency range that just is there. Especially in the opening where it's just I have a fifth just constantly going. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want it to sound harsh, so I just have a nice little fade in. It just the fade in is just like because I had to, because it sounded too harsh just coming in. You also realize that a lot of things that happen, like songs, that's just completely random happenstance. Just like, I need something here. Let's just throw that in. Oh yeah. Or I can change a lyric on the fly.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the other things I wanted to talk about just with harmonies, I remember trying to talk about this with Feather. When you set forth to actually create a harmony, what's your process for that? Or do you find that you do like fourths very often or fifths very often or anything like that? Is there any kind of like technical thought that goes into it when you do it, or does it just happen?
well, technically speaking, fourths are very interesting in that they can be, well, when you refer to a third harmony or even a fifth harmony, the fourth often comes in as just a filler note because of how the chords work. But usually what I do is I usually just take a run at it. I just go through the song and I just sing it. And I try and just sing along, add a harmony. And if it doesn't work, I go back and I look at it. Or if it's like slightly off, I'll go into like Melodyne or like the automatic tuner and I'll just like modify, think, oh, okay, there it is. I can sing that. And I go back and I re-record the actual new line that I've just written by
That's the way to use
going
Melodyne
back.
right there.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Sometimes I'm lazy. Like especially in choral parts, I'm just lazy. Just like everything, because especially when you double track things and it's a group thing, you can very easily get away with just shifting things up. Like, I'll shift this up a whole note and just like make sure everything works. It's easy to hide. Know what you can get away with when you're making things.
Yeah.
When I'm actually creating harmonies, it's usually just I usually just sing through the song. I just try and sing along to it. I don't rarely like sit down and like think about it too much, just because I've had a lot of experience just going through it, singing along to a song, singing the melody, singing the harmony along with their melody, and even singing harmonies when they're not singing harmonies, and just adding my own little bits. And that's probably also contributes to my problem of having too many harmonies in a song. Fifths don't come on nearly as often, but when they do, it's usually just to add a huge emphasis to where I really want a lot of bigness to it. Like in Melody of My Heartstrings, the most prominent example is that like the line is, but there's one thing we can agree that when we sing in harmony, I add an extra harmony part in there, so there's like 3 vocal parts there, and it just really works.
Yeah, no, it's funny when we talk about this stuff, because it's, yes, we can quantify it into math, but nobody does. It's just not a thing that musicians, at least the musicians that I talk to most of the time, we just don't actively think about the math that goes into harmonies. It's just something that you kind of acquire an ear for, or you naturally have an ear for, and it just happens.
Yeah, exactly. The science of harmony is actually really, really cool, just how things work out with that.
Yeah, because it's all based off of frequencies, right? And harmonies are essentially multiples of your root.
Exactly. You have a wavelength of sound, you double it, you get an octave. You multiply it by 3, you get an octave and a fifth. You multiply it by 4, you get another octave. You multiply it by 5, you get 2 octaves and a third.
And if that sounds complicated, it's because the frequency spectrum is not linear.
It's not linear.
It's a logarithmic curve.
That's right.
You've been in this fandom for a little bit, and you've been touring quite for a while now. You've been to a lot of conventions, and so it's fair to say you're fairly experienced. What would you give as advice to somebody who would like to follow in your footsteps and be a musician?
That's always the great question. It's all about just practice, learn all that you can. There's some natural talent to it. Just like I said before, I just seem to have a natural, like has been said before,
natural knack for vocal harmonies.
Harmonies, and just the way I would play it. Like I learned how to play guitar just because I wanted to make music, and now I'm actually somewhat half decent for it. I can actually play it in front of a crowd and sing along and actually sound decent. Just you gotta practice, you gotta try your best, and you gotta do it just because you like the music. It can't be just for fame or fortune. I know, like probably almost everyone else that you had on having this show say that you can't be doing it for the fame. You gotta do it because you like music. There's a huge element of luck here. If I hadn't gotten lucky and gotten into January BronyCon because I was a musician, or I'd found the right staff person that would let me upstairs and bypass the line that was too long to actually get into the convention. If I hadn't have done that and hadn't met the people that I did there, I would not be where I am today. Luck is such a huge part. You just have to come along at just the right time with just the right thing. Sometimes you can kind of fake it, kind of force it, kind of like we did with Button's Mom. Like, okay, I know if I make a quality track here and I get it out within like a month-ish, it's going to be popular and it's going to work. Sometimes there's a formula to it.
Like, kind of like how Pixel Kitties always releases a new comic right after an episode.
And that's part of advertising, really. Like, that's part of selling yourself.
It also comes with just the talent. It comes with the talent. Like, she's good at making art and good at making art quick, so she can do it and it just works.
I have to say, within the last, how long have I known you? 2.5 years now?
2.5 years.
Yeah. So I've known you for 2.5 years, and like the amount of progress that you've made from when we first met, and I mean, like, this applies to almost all of us too. You, me, Cyril, all of us that kind of are in contact normally. But like the amount of progress that you've made from what you were originally doing when we first met to the stuff that you're doing now has just been phenomenal. And it's Yeah, it's just been very good talking to you and kind of reminiscing about stuff today. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
It has been my absolute pleasure. I really had a good time. I really liked looking back too. I hadn't thought about a lot of those things for a while now.
Yeah.
It's good to appreciate the things you've done, the people you've seen, the people you've talked to, and just kind of look back. Yeah, get back to your roots.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Check out this week's program. On Wednesdays, we got KPMY at 7 p.m., followed by Into the Spotlight with Osaka Jack at 9 p.m. Then on Thursdays, we got Sketchy Sounds live songcast at 3 p.m. All times are in Central. Until next week, this is
Starlight Ironhoof.
Forest Rain.
Midnight Rain.
Zeta Prime.
and Snowblitz. Goodbye for now.
Button's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom. Yeah, I'm in love with Button's mom. Wait a minute, Button, can't you see that she's just the man for me? I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Button's mom.
Happened. We did a cover of BBBFF in 18 hours.
No, it was like...
It was 8 hours.
It was like 8 hours. The majority of it happened within like a 6-hour span.
Uh-huh.
I think it was like 8 hours from, hey, we should do a cover of this, to, oh, hey, we just released a cover of this. Yeah. That was neat.
From concept to YouTube, like 8 hours.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It happened in one night. I think it was exactly just one night.
Well, let's make it speed punk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, I loved that one. It was great. Especially at the end, where it just kind of got all sad and depressing.
Oh, yeah. I remember, like...
Dude, you should do a piano solo.
Yeah, we discussed that. You're like, hey, you should do that, like, the reprise at the end. I'm like, you sure? You don't think it's going to be too sad or, like, completely, like, out of the concept of the whole thing? And you're like, no, just do it.
No. It was completely awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Horribly mixed, but it worked.
Yeah. Well, that was the old days.
Back when all the live music was horribly mixed.
Yeah, and recorded music. But
yeah,
this is just like so much nostalgia for me now in like the first 5 minutes of this episode.
Oh yeah,
because like I remember like first meeting you and you showed me the Beatles Brony stuff, and I'm like, it's authentic, it's good. your mixing really sucks, but
I can work
on it. And then we
I did what I could with Audacity.
Yeah, and we did. And like I remember like we would discuss things and like I'd show you mixing techniques. I'd be like, hey, like this is this and blah blah blah, and like we'd work on stuff.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, no, it's good times. I miss those days sometimes. The early days of the fandom, I guess.
Early days.
Yeah.
There once was a time.
Yeah.
And that BronyCon was when I remember when Great to Be Different was brooding inside Forrest's mind. I remember seeing that. I came back to the hotel room and he was just sitting there on the bed, like contemplating shit. And he was like, I got this letter, and it's like I was like crying earlier. It's like really spoken to me. I'm like, I need to write a song.
And then I did.
Is that what happened?
Well,
that's seriously what happened.
There was a conversation at the hotel. I remember too. I believe that same convention. And that same hotel room.
We tried to write a song.
Yeah, we're like, we need to write a song about the convention or something. And I can't remember what we were going to write. It was something about...
I remember what it is. Hang on, let me go grab a ukulele.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Okay.
Do you still have the lyrics that we wrote, too?
I think.
It's like, oh, yeah, it's just in my pile of convention lyrics here, right beside me.
Wow.
Just in my lyrics of Forgotten Dreams.
Oh.
The forgotten lyric pile.
I have a binder of just stuff I put together. There's a lot of stuff I haven't released yet and just never gotten around to doing. But
Sounds like the notes in my iPhone.
yeah, okay, I can't remember what we did for the verse, but the chorus went like, Brony BronyCon, oh Brony.
Oh my god, yes!
Who knew you'd be so much fun? Why is this line so fucking long? I just want to see Tara strong.
Yes!
Oh man.
I remember!
Oh
my god, I feel like I just took a trip to Neverland and I found my happy thought.
Aw.
That's amazing.
This whole
That was really catchy.
Oh my god, we need to finish that song.
Many friends from many nations meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you please finish that?
We'll work on it this BronyCon.
we'll-
Not
do
saying
cover.
I will feature it on anything, but maybe,
This
who knows?
BronyCon, we will
Who
get
knows?
together and we will work on that, or maybe we'll. I don't know.
I feel like you should do that on the
Many
concert.
nations.
If it's finished
On
by
the
the
concert,
con,
yeah.
then we'll all sing it
Yeah,
together.
you should do it in Bronypalooza. Just
Just do it. Just do it.
People
Just do
will-
it,
Brony
man.
Palooza
People
is
will
usually
love it.
pretty tight.
Yeah.
I usually have a lot of things I want to
I
play.
know,
I
right?
want to make sure I get to. I know you always have. It's always so much time. And there's always not enough.
Yeah, yeah. It's like 30 minutes. It's like, oh, I could do so much with 30 minutes. No, you can't.
You really
No,
can.
yeah. I've got to have a set that flows.
Hey, this is Snowblitz.
Syx String.
Starlight Ironhoof.
Forest Rain.
And Zeta Prime.
And this is Elements of Harmony.
Framed in gold. Octavia, why you still playing the cello so mellow? This is what it'll take to be alone. That's why they call me
Tonight on the show, we interview one who is strong with the horse. Pony One Kenobi is a part-time Jedi Master and a well-known small horse celebrity who has performed at many of the major conventions in the fandom, as well as the Musiquestria Tour in 2013. Founder of the Beatles Bronies, Pony One Kenobi is a multi-instrumentalist and a talented musician, and he joins us here tonight.
Hello, Pony One Kenobi.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Elements of Harmony. How are you doing tonight?
That was a fantastic intro. I love that.
Yes, it was amazing.
Forrest, strong with the horse, really? Are you infinite now?
That was...
Yes.
Who was that?
That was Infinite's idea, and that was like, yeah, that was my idea as well.
That was Snowblitz that came up with that line.
But then
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you drew it from the old Reliant K song, "May the Horse Be With You."
No, no. But you can
Wow.
tell us about that.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, you're the other Reliant K fan.
I know. But I only listened to the one album.
What?
I only listened to like and like I never downloaded anything else from Reliant K.
What?
I know. Shut up. Leave me alone. Anyway, P1K and I have a little bit of history. He was like one of my first friends coming into this fandom. Actually, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So how did
Yeah.
you two meet?
All the way back to the Massive Smile Project.
Is that how we met?
Ah.
Yep.
Whoa! I met everybody
Wow.
I love through the Massive Smile Project.
I even met you through that.
Yeah, well, except for almost everybody here. Yeah, so we met back in the Massive Smile Project. That's neat, actually.
Yep.
How'd you hear about that? Tell us about that?
Oh, that was ages ago. All right. Well, we were still really hot in the heels of the Beatle Bronies. We were still really making a lot of tracks, really being active. We were one of the most active musicians in the early time, but even though some of our tracks were shit, a lot of our tracks were shit. But we learned a lot.
authentic.
Yeah, they were authentic. We learned a lot. We learned how to record. We learned how to really I learned how to mix and master. I eventually just moved up from Audacity to FL Studio, then to Cubase most recently. I learned a whole lot about how to make music, starting with the Beatle Bronies, and overpowered my inability to play guitar by recruiting other people to play guitar. So in the Massive Smile Project, you approached us and wanted to have one or two of us contribute vocal parts, and one of our members, Osoth, did that, and he was really happy to do that.
Yeah, he was a soloist.
He was one of the soloists. I provided the bass for the Smile song.
Yes, you
I
did.
still remember the bass line. I love playing it. It's fun. Yeah. So that's how we first met Forrest. Then came BronyCon 2012, Summer BronyCon.
Yes.
where Forest Rain was cut due to time, like a few weeks before the con, and we all felt really bad. So me and QD Brony gave him the last song in our set, and we played actually a song that was written by Osoth, "Memory Lane," and that's one of Forest's early hits.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember
That was
those old days.
incredibly fun.
Those old days were great because, like, you used to you, everybody would we'd watch the show, we'd be inspired, we'd write a song would happen. Songs just happened back then.
Songs just into each song, and I want to hit my high notes, and I want to hit my new stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
Or I want to hit this joke by playing this song like this, or
Okay, so we just spent like 10 minutes reminiscing and talking about stuff, but like I guess we have to go into the default question that I ask at the beginning of every interview, which is for the people that are completely blind and deaf to the fandom and like never tuned in to a convention ever or never attended one and have never met you or don't know who you are. Mm-hmm. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where you come from.
Alright, well, hello everybody. I am Pony1 Kenobi, or otherwise known as P1K. I do alternative rock, alternative punk rock, style similar to Reliant K, Blink-182, All American Rejects. I try and get a lot of inspiration from different alternative artists, All Time Low, Sum 41, all sorts of things. I started in the fandom actually by playing Beatles parodies with my band, the Bronies, but ever since February of 2012, I have been writing my own stuff, producing it, and I've actually got a lot farther than the Bronies did, and just made a career for myself, I guess. One of the first things I liked to really was interested in doing was getting into the convention scene, being able to play shows. I hadn't been very experienced before in playing live shows, but I learned a whole lot during the first year, and then also through going to the tour in 2013, and that was an amazing experience. If you didn't see me on there, you missed out. It was a fantastic time. So yeah, that is me. I play pony punk.
We already mentioned a little bit about your convention experience. What's the first convention you went to?
The first convention I went to was January BronyCon of 2012. The third ever BronyCon, back when they were doing it, like, quarterly.
Yeah.
Oh, the very first one, yeah, the one that was in Manhattan.
That's funny.
The one was in Manhattan. The Hotel Pennsylvania was the smallest